Well, all right. I hope everybody is in. Hi, everybody. My name is Darren, and I'm one of the marketing coordinators with the School of Health Sciences. It is my pleasure to welcome you to BCIT's School of Health Sciences information session for the Occupational Health and Safety program. First off, I just want to say how happy we are to see you all and thank you for attending our presentation today. And second, feel free to post any questions, comments, or thoughts into the chat during the presentation. And we will address as many questions as we can near the end of the presentation in the Q&A segment. And third, if possible, please keep your microphone and video turned off until the end of the presentation to reduce connectivity issues or interruptions. And that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. And just before we get going, I wanted to mention that BCIT acknowledges that our province of British Columbia is located on the homelands of 203 distinct Indigenous nations and cultures, with over 30 different languages and close to 60 unique dialects are spoken in the province. We ask all participants to reflect, acknowledge, and honor in their own way the First Nation land on which they live, work, and play. So for our agenda for tonight, the welcome and introductions, which we're in the middle of right now. That will be followed by a quick poll. And then there's a video for us to watch. And then I will introduce the presenters and we'll proceed with the presentation and program overviews. Then we'll have some program advising and Q&A at the end.
Thanks, Darren. I'm Bobby Sidhu. I'm the program head of the BCIT Occupational Health and Safety program. After the video, I'll be the one who will be talking program overview and the person you can direct questions to specific to the program itself. As Darren said, or as the poll showed, that many of you got it right. Anywhere there are workers, OHS professionals work. And I'll talk about that more in a particular slide when I'll list some of the industries our graduates in the very diverse places they go work that they end up. And I guess back to Darren for the video.
I love my job because I get fulfillment from it, knowing that people get to go home safe every night at the end of the day. Working with people, I mean, it's a huge part of what I do day in and day out. Working with the juniors, the apprentices, even the executives on trying to help them understand their health and safety responsibilities. The Occupational Health and Safety Diploma program at BCIT is second to none. It really prepares you for the on-site, real-world situations that you're going to come up against. And that's why I chose BCIT.
BCIT's Occupational Health and Safety Diploma program is the most comprehensive program of its kind in Canada. Our students get in-class lectures and labs, but also hands-on experience and a practicum on-site to give them practical knowledge. Our students learn to recognize, evaluate, and control a variety of workplace hazards and worker exposures, such as noise exposure, lighting, fall protection, and any other chemical contaminants that might be found in the workplace.
Every industry will require some type of safety. So whether I choose to stay in healthcare or move into oil and gas or into mining or into engineering, there will always be a job for health and safety professionals.
Every day knowing that the workers get to go home safely to their family, to their children, that is probably the #1 factor in me pushing forward to get this done properly and correctly every day.
So what is occupational health and safety? So health and safety is really about protecting the workers in a work environment. There's really nowadays 3 pillars to health and safety, which is health, safety, and the environment. Sometimes you'll see the term HSE instead of OHS. Just, historically we've called it OHS. Next slide. So what are we looking for with the Occupational Health and Safety program? So we're looking for people who are strong communicators. Communication is probably the most important skill that is required in this particular field, because you have to solve problems working with employers, working with workers, working with unions, working with regulators. There's a lot of diversity of communication. So, that's a really, important skill. 5 years work experience is what the program typically looks for as well. It is a mature role. It doesn't have to be, in any particular industry. We have students who come from, 10 years of welding background. We have students who have been worked in retail environments, cashiers for a number of years. We have students who work for the health authorities as volunteers. It doesn't really matter what your background is, because our graduates work everywhere. It's more that you have some work experience for that maturity. Next slide. So let me provide an overview of our two programs that we have available. One is a full-time 2-year diploma program. So that's 2 years to complete. It's on campus, 5 days a week. Pretty much it consumes our students' lives to be there for the duration of that program. It's, there's also quite a bit of assignments. And we provide a lot of on-campus networking options, field trips. We bring in guest lectures from industry, as well as job opportunities via the strong networks that BCIT has. We also have the 2-year, the certificate program, which typically runs from about 18 to 24 months if a person's dedicated to do that in that time frame. But we students have typically up to 5 years to complete that program at their own pace. So if you want to go to the next slide. So as I said, it's a term structure. Sorry, I didn't mention that, but it's a term structure. So it's 3 terms a year. There's no prerequisites. Students can enter at any time. It's a combination of online classes. There's some course materials that you might have to order. Currently, it's a 45 credit program, 20 credits required and 25 credits elective. Now, the program is changing to meet the requirements of the Board of Certification for Safety Professionals. So we'll be increasing in size by about 20 credits. But if anybody is interested in the certificate program and they want more information about that, they can reach out to me and I can bring them up to speed about where the program is going, as it meets the recent change in the requirements for being counted as an education credential for basically the designating authority for occupational health and safety. The job outcomes are pretty much the same as a diploma. Students who enter this program, usually they're working in industry, so they can't come to school full time. They're already in safety positions, or they're looking to transition, but due to job or life factors, they don't want to come to school full time. And so this program is you get to the same place. It's just a different pathway. Next slide. So the skills you get in the diploma program specifically, but also in the certificate program, is safety management and administration, safety leadership. We go through communication skills that focus on conflict resolution. We look at a variety of operational processes. Students learn about a number of industries they could work in, anything from, film and television, oil and gas, forestry. They look at manufacturing, construction's a huge employer, fire safety. There's a large number of processes we go over. So they learn the technical skills and knowledge, and we focus on the communication skills to make sure they succeed when they graduate. Our graduates are generalists. They can work in any sectors. I had a student who graduated not too long ago, and he worked for the municipality, and one day he decided he wanted to go work in the airline industry. He had no background, but after some experience in OHS, it's a very transferable skill. And so he got a job, and he did he's now currently working in the airline industry as an OHS professional, because the skills are so transferable. So, and our students work at a variety of levels. We have students who graduate and go work for WorkSafe BC as regulators, safety officers. We have students who work as safety advisors, safety coordinators. They work up to management and even directors of safety. Next slide. So for the diploma program, our structure is classroom, lecture, and discussion. It's pretty much like a full-time job coming to school, about 30 hours of class a week. We go through case studies. We take students for research and fieldwork. For example, we will teach the technical side in class, and then we'll send them for a fall arrest training so they better understand how fall protection works. As an example, we talk about both health and safety. Now, without diving too much into it, the difference between health and safety is like somebody falls off a ladder. So I want to make sure that we have ladder safety we teach. Health and hygiene is about these physical, chemical, and biological hazards. It's a worker who's exposed to something, then over 20 years, there's going to be a health effect. So we don't want them to be exposed to it and have that 20-year health effect. Noise exposure is a good one. You don't see an immediate response to noise exposure. It's a long-term thing. So we have various ways of assessing those in the workplace and controlling for those hazards that are not immediate and visible. Students are individual and group processes, group assignments. And we have in the diploma program, basically, it's not a co-op, but it's an industry review where a particular company will allow the student to come in and do a gap audit or basically a safety system management audit of their safety system. And some students end up working for those companies, but regardless, they get some practical experience in the field assessing health and safety management systems, which is a really important learning outcome. And as I said, field trips and various job observation activities. Next slide. For the networking, we have career fairs that we have on BCIT. I believe there's one just in a couple of days here where numerous industries are coming in and they have booths, virtual this year, but our students have been networked to that. We have deep connections to two of the Canadian safety organizations like the Canadian Society of Safety Engineering, as well as the American Industrial Hygiene Association. So they have monthly meetings, they have scholarships that they give to our students, they have networking events. The AIHA is giving a dedicated networking event for OHS students, I believe actually in the next week or so. So we network with them to facilitate those for job opportunities for our students. And our students also have executive membership. So basically they have representatives. So we have a CSSC, 2 members from our students who sit in the first year and second year branch. And then we have an AHA member who also sits on the AHA executive. So there's also, not only does the faculty facilitate it, but the students have a direct network into these agencies as well. And they provide a number of professional development opportunities for our students, usually some of them at no cost. For example, ACSAFE, the Industry Associations for Film and Media, is having a conference in about 3 weeks. And for our students, there's, it's pay what you want, and so they're going to be probably paying nothing. It's up to them, they can pay if they want. But we've given them the day off to go attend that conference. So we make an active effort to network the students. And then there's also things like NIOSH Week, and then there's 14 industry associations. So we try to facilitate networking the best we can between them. And then various social events like meet and greets, luncheons, mentoring, and get lots of guest lectures from industry. And those people do come to meet students to hire them to spec them out. Next slide. So from our diploma program, nowadays, I would say 50 to almost 70% of the students have have bachelor's degrees that come into the program. And then I would say about, about 15%, 10 to 15% could be WorkSafe sponsored, or they're welders or carpenters or people from the military, come from a variety of, backgrounds where they've spent quite a bit of time in industry. And then I would say about, 10 to 15% are foreign graduates, masters, PhDs, doctors come into our program. So we have a very diverse mix. I mean, I've had landscapers working in groups with medical doctors. That's not uncommon in our programs. So that diversity is a strength of our program because our students learn from each other and learn to appreciate both the academic and technical industrial side of the work, which is probably, I think, one of the biggest strengths of our program. And the median age of our program is 30, but we have people roughly, I would say, from 24 to 60. Well, 60 has been a while, but 55 is, is a good range, I would say, for our program to come in. Next slide. So again, the job activities that we get into, then it's quite a wide range. We develop and implement and monitor health and safety management programs. So you may have to manage your organization's health and safety management program. We liaise with external and private agencies and government. You may have to work with Labour Canada, WorkSafe BC. You may have to hire consultants to come in to do assessments and administer that. There's a lot of legal requirements for businesses. So we learn, and one of the key skills is learning to interpret and administrate legislation. Developing training programs for workers to educate and train them for hazard awareness, whether it's WHMIS or fall protection, whether it's asbestos awareness. There's quite a large number of programs that need to be put in place. Currently, a big one is COVID awareness, right? So education and training for COVID awareness is a new program that has been rolled out about a year ago. And some employers still don't have anything, so our students are putting those in place. Health and safety promotion strategies, coaching, being on joint occupational health and safety committees, or even conducting the assessments themselves, whether, as mentioned in the video, air quality, noise, temperature, vibration, a wide variety of assessments that our students can end up doing, or they could coordinate it with third-party contractors and then be required to interpret the results that are provided to them. Next slide. So workplace inspections, and not just doing the inspections, but writing up how to do the inspections, then having the supervisor do them, and then going to work on something else. A lot of policy and development is what we do, and then we train someone else to do it and move on to the next project. So doing hazard assessments or writing them, developing the education and training programs, but handing them off to others to do. Accident investigations, will do meetings such as I said, joint occupational health and safety committees, preparing toolbox talks for supervisors to do, and working with WorkSafe BC, and noise and air sampling, and the program review that I mentioned. Things like auditing is a big skill that we teach our students. Next slide. So the one thing lots of people are interested in is what are the salary outcomes. So our program has very strong salary outcomes. You know, to start, usually around $65,000 is not uncommon. Now, you know, that's where I would say an entry-level grad can get 60, 65. Now, if you're an experienced person, I know some people I can see here have reached out to me before, they have prior work experience. We have students who will graduate in the 70, 80, 85. I mean, a few years ago, I had a student who graduated and got $100,000 pretty much off the bat. Now, I'm not going to say that's the norm, but it does happen. I mean, which makes sense. If you've been working as a welder for 10 to 15 years and you get into OHS, it's not like your previous experience just disappears. That is actually what you leverage into a strong salary in an organization that needs an OHS professional that understands welding, as an example. So, and then there's a lot of private consulting opportunities. Students who graduate from this program end up, you know, they get their salaries, and some of them start consulting businesses on the side doing education and training. And an employer who can't afford an OHS professional full-time may hire somebody part-time. So some of our students are right now are doing small COVID training courses or joint occupational health and safety training courses on top of their regular jobs as a kind of a side, I guess you'll call it a side business, but side hustle, but it's really a independent consulting. It's not uncommon. And then of course, you know, raises, good benefits. Government like WorkSafe BC has good pension. A lot of government agencies that hire our students have good pension packages and good benefits packages. Next slide. So the job titles, as I mentioned earlier, are things like OHS coordinators, specialist, officer, manager, environment, security director, advisor, consultant. So these are all job titles that you may see that our graduates end up getting. Next slide. So 95% of graduates are employed in a related field within 2 months. I would say the 5% that aren't usually go on to higher education or continue on to do something else, or they take a break. Our job outcomes are really strong. Many opportunities for advancement, promotion, lots of professional development. As I said, the number of industries that you can work in is so diverse that, you know, you could, you know, there's quite a bit of conferences that our students attend. It would take me a while to list them. That's that much diversity. And then some, they do continue to go on to things like human resource management, environmental engineering, MBAs. So there's a lot of continuing professional development and education our students can engage in. And so next slide. So to better answer the poll, who hires our grads? Educational institutions, private consulting firms, health authorities, telecoms, utilities, school boards, cities, municipalities, regional districts. These are all separate organizations. And in various industries include agriculture, film production, construction, forestry, food production, manufacturing. Manufacturing can be quite broad in and of itself, not as big as here in BC, but in Ontario, it's a huge manufacturing center. Government, oil and gas, transportation, office, etc. The list actually doesn't end. If you have to think of a place where people work, our students, our graduates are employed there, right? Especially when the organization gets large enough, right? So, the strength of our program is if you get bored of working at, say, the health authority, you can just switch and go to another place, right? Assuming that's a job in the interview and you get past that. There's quite a bit of mobility and it is not uncommon for our grads to basically, switch. I just had a grad who was in Ontario working in a large construction firm that just got a job in transportation. They decided to come west and no transportation background, but they understand OHS and they're a recent grad, and it's very easy to move between industries. Next slide. So I think I've probably, it's a testimonial. Yes, so I'm sorry, I have an older version here. So testimonial. So this is Sindhu, a recent grad. So BCIT OHS program offered me a practical and collaborative learning environment that enhanced my skill sets and led me to hit the desired workforce as soon as I graduated. The educational experience at BCIT was quite impressive and one of the best I've ever had in my life. I would recommend this program to anyone who's highly passionate about workplace safety and wellness. So Sindhu is currently out there working in the industry right now and doing excellent. And so she's a typical grad of our program where they graduate and they hit the feet running and they get a solid job and they're quite happy. Next slide. And now I'll hand it over to Shelley, and I hope I haven't stolen too much of her time to talk about program advising, and then I can come back to answer some questions later.
All right. Thanks, Bobby. Hi, everyone. Welcome. My name is Shelley Schubass, and I am a program advisor, and I work in full-time studies at BCIT. We have two areas in program advising. We have full-time studies and part-time, and they are, we work together, but we have separate advisors for part-time and full-time. So I'll talk about full-time because that's the department I work in. So what we do is we help students, one sec, just back. I'm just gonna give a brief introduction on what we do. So we do clarify the admissions process, okay, as well as how to apply to programs, graduation requirements, and we will give you an example of a competitive applicant for a program. We also have success strategies for being a student at BCIT. We'll look at transfer credit. We'll look at some of your courses that you've already taken. Perhaps you want someone to have a review of those courses to see if you could transfer them. So we also work with a lot of students on additional resources that are available at BCIT, and sometimes people just want to know what the tuition is, and we can help with that. All right, so next slide. Okay, so for occupational health and safety, for the full-time diploma, just to let everybody know, it is a competitive entry program. So at BCIT, we have a few admissions models. So one is competitive, which means you're competing against other people who also want to get into the program. And some are in, one is another model we have is first qualified, first accepted, which is whenever there's a seat available. And if you meet the entrance requirements, you get in. So this one is competitive. So you'll see what's on here. It's 2 years of English, an English speaking country, as well as English studies 12. And then there's other ways to meet the English requirement. If you have a post-secondary social sciences, English or humanities course, we could also look at that. You'll need a chemistry 11 at 50%, physics at 50, and a pre-calculus at 50, or foundations of math at 67. Again, these are the minimum entrance requirements, and they do diversify so that they allow a lot of the applicants with diverse backgrounds, as Bobby said, to apply. However, the actual applicants, a lot of them are quite well above this, and maybe some have degrees already. 5 years of work experience is also something that they will be looking for. It does not have to be in occupational health and safety, but the work experience is important. And as Bobby said, someone that is mature is what they're looking for as well. Their average age is a little bit older, around 30. Communication skills are important. Also math and science courses are nice to have. And just ensuring that you fill out that applicant questionnaire very well when you apply, which is something you will upload in your online application. Okay, next slide. Okay, so here we have our start dates. Okay, so on the program entry page, you'll see when you go, each program at BCIT has its own program page, which is kind of like their own web page. So you'll see in the middle of that page, you'll see when we're accepting applications. So most applications open October 1st at BCIT. For this program, because it's competitive, it has an end date. So you'll see that all the applications will be needed by April the 4th, and that is the final deadline to apply. And then you'll also see there the start dates for the certificate. And that's something that a lot of working professionals may be working on, or somebody that wants to go to school part-time. And if you did have a question about that, there's part-time advisors. And that is January, April, and September. And that's ongoing registration for that program. Okay. Okay, so on this slide here, it's just a bit of an overview of how to apply to our diploma for occupational health and safety. So again, I mean, it's important to ensure that you have those entrance requirements before you apply. Upgrade if necessary. So high school upgrading is free. Or you could take an assessment exam, which we do offer. Now it's February, so by April you would have to have everything ready to go. So the upgrading timeline is important when you're applying. So once you've got all your requirements done, you then collect all your documents, your transcripts. Official transcripts is required, and if you could upload those into our online application, as well as your applicant questionnaire, which is another thing that you'll need to do for your transcripts. It's official transcripts, and you would open up the document and scan both sides and upload it, just in case you're wondering about that, because we do get that question a lot. You don't send them to BCIT directly. And then application is online, so bcit.ca/apply, and you can also apply from the program page as well directly, following the apply now button. It's a blue apply now, so it's fairly easy to find. So it is $90 to apply for domestic applicants. This program does take international, so it is $154 for international applicants. And after you apply, please check your my.bcit account for all communication from BCIT. You will receive an email from BCIT within 2 business days of your application. Once you've applied, any information will be on that account. So just keep checking that. After the deadline, April the 4th, all of the applications are then sent to the department for review, and they will go through and go through the applicants that they think are the best suitable applicants for the program, that will have the best chance of success in the program. And then they will inform all the successful applicants within 4 weeks. So after that April 4th deadline, the students would get informed by a letter from admissions. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, so the next slide we're going to talk about today is laddering. And at BCIT, we have a term called laddering, and we have a lot of credentials that lead to from a certificate to a diploma to an advanced diploma, and some can lead to degrees and some can even lead to masters. So it allows for students to really build on their credentials. So if you do the Occupational Health and Safety Diploma, The laddering for this could be into a BBA, which is Bachelor of Business Administration, with some courses that you may need to take. Some bridging courses may be required for that. Another example of a bridging opportunity is the Bachelor of Technology for Environmental Health, Public Health Inspection, which is another great opportunity. And Operations Management is another one, and it's more on the business side and School of Business, but with some laddering, with some bridging courses, you could ladder into that as well. Okay. All right, so if we can just go to the next slide, that'd be great. Okay, so just wanted to mention that at BCIT, once you become a student here, you do have access to a lot of health and wellness resources. As a student, we do know it's been a challenging time with COVID and the fact that we're all online and it's a totally different way to learn. So we do have a lot of health and wellness resources for your for all of your needs, really, psychological, physical, social. So we have counseling here, virtual counseling. We have also, if you're looking at accessibility services, you need student support, you need more support to be successful as a student. It could be more time for tests. We have accessibility, so you can connect with accessibility services for help if you need it. We also have a fitness facility on campus, which is now offering virtual classes. We also have a clinic, health clinic, with a doctor and nurse on campus as well. However, right now we're just offering the telehealth services. So we are here, except we're just offering services just a little bit differently than we did before, but we are either here, either online, virtually, or we can connect by email or by phone. So we do have a lot of resources. And lastly, I want to mention our financial aid office. If anyone needs assistance with getting bursaries, scholarships, there's even emergency funds for students. Just wanted to let you know we have a BCIT financial aid and awards office so that you can go ahead and talk to them directly about how to access student loans or bursaries. Okay, that is it for that one. And again, that's just sort of an example of what the official name is for your support services. Indigenous Services as well, we do have a gathering place, as well as we also have a Indigenous advisors if you wanted to speak to someone directly. And again, financial aid and award, counseling, rec services. So we got you covered in all areas when you become a student at BCIT. Okay, so again, if you have questions about application process, how to apply, where do I begin? I don't know. I haven't been to post-secondary before. So please let us know in program advising. We would like to hear from you. They can basically give us a call Monday to Friday. Our hours are there. Email your inquiry as well, or request a Zoom appointment. Okay. Okay, so, and these are all the different social media channels that you can find. School of Health, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. There's a lot of resources out there. If you wanted to just reach out and start doing your research, there's a lot. Just wanted to point out our big info is coming up on February 22nd, 23rd, and 25th, and the hours are all online. It's in 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock approximately, and you can sign up online, and it's a virtual at home this year. So you don't even have to drive. You can just do it from your home. And our advising is also there as well. We have bcit.ca/advising for any other questions that if you don't get them answered in the session. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so I guess I'll turn it over to Darren to facilitate the question and answers for now. I see there's a lot in the chat box, so I'll let you to it. and I'll get to it.
Thank you very much, Shelley and Bobby. That was excellent. Lots of information. Yeah, we're almost pushing it to the limit here. So hopefully we can get in a couple of questions and answers before our time is up.
I can just jump in and verbally answer some of the ones that I haven't answered in the chat.
Okay.
Sarah, the certificate versus a domestic, and I'm sorry, I should have put people's names as I was answering the questions, my bad. Entry-level salaries for the certificate can sometimes be lower just because, you know, it is a different credential. But, you know, after about a year or so, I would say in the industry, if you're starting as an entry level, there's really no difference. People do get to the same point. For experienced people, I wouldn't say there's any real difference between the diploma and certificate. People are more looking at you have the OHS credential and your existing experience to ladder you into salaries. And is there other questions I may have missed? Just drop them in the chat again. Yeah, if you should reach out to registration or admissions to get your number, but you can just apply to take courses as a certificate. The time limitation for the question you're asking about bridging, that really depends on the institution you're going to. I don't think BCIT can really comment about, you know, what another institution says with respect to the recency for your credentials. So definitely you would have to look at the institution you want to bridge into. So for people in the certificate, we do make an effort to network them to some of the activities that we have, such as letting them know about the conferences and stuff like that. So we do make an effort, but the diploma does offer more opportunities than certificate. It's just the nature of the program because some of it happens in class time or some of it is facilitated through our students in the diploma program. So yes, but not as much. Well, the benefit simply, if you can commit 2 years full time, I would take the diploma program because it is a more direct path into the field, especially if you're a younger student with less experience. You know, there are two distinct programs. It is not 100%, but generally speaking, our certificators, usually people are working, already have job experience, and they're looking to transition into safety, or they need the education credential. That is our typical group. Where our diploma program, our typical group is relatively younger grads who have worked for a bit and who are looking to build a career. Although we do get people who have been working for 10, 15 years, as I said. It's really, and they're looking to get a 2-year education that takes them right into industry. Diploma grads do have an easier time finding a job, but that doesn't diminish the certificate. Lots of certificate grads get jobs no problem because this is a field that employs across so many industries. Any other questions that I can answer? Field trips, because it's a distance online program, there's no field trips for the certificate program per se. Again, we do offer opportunities for letting them know about conferences, and we do have one course on campus that students can choose to do. No, it can be part-time. You want to probably make it as robust as possible, list everything, don't leave anything out. There's no application for the certificate program. You just register for the classes, and I think you can go online to the certificate, and there's basically lets you click and register for a class, and there's no requirement. I'm not sure if the April sessions are open yet. Usually by March, I think early March, that you can start registering for the April class. April will be the next time to start taking classes. So the math and physics is not part of the certificate program. That program is purely the OHS classes. You can consider the diploma program equivalent to the first 2 years of university. So that's why we have the math, physics, chem associated with it. Whereas a certificate is just the OHS classes. So especially if you don't do the hygiene classes, it wouldn't be a barrier for you. The hygiene classes have a little bit of math and physics in them, but they're self-contained. So you should be able to complete those regardless.
Excellent. Thank you, Bobby.
Hi, Bobby. I think you said something about the certificate program changing. The amount of credits going to change so that you can better prepare for CRSP or
yes.
board examinations. How will that? Where can I get more info on that?
You can email me and I can forward you on to our, actually his email is probably in the presentation, David Wood, who is our certificate program head, but he can let you know. Tentatively, I believe it's going to be 65 credit program instead of the existing 45 credit program. But again, you can reach out to me and I can forward you on to him. And
I see there's somebody asking about high school, upgrading high school. I will let you know where you can do that. I'll put the links in the chat box, but it's through Learn Now BC. They have all the online classes through high school upgrading, which are free, and we also had them at BCIT as well, some of the classes. So I'll link that in there for whoever was looking for the upgrading. All right, just 1 minute.
So I'll address the Jenny's comment first. I would put effort into your application. Too often I get an application that really doesn't fill out a person's experiences and their backgrounds, or it doesn't really answer the question. They might put a sentence or two. So really that would help an application to have a thorough application filled out. And then the rest of it is just your, don't go back if you've worked more than 5 years, put everything down, and try to relate it to your application questions to show why you're interested in occupational health and safety. And I don't necessarily give a preference to bachelor students. Just to answer that question, if all things being equal, we look for diversity. So if I have a strong bachelor's candidate, but then I have someone with a high school education, but who's been in the industry for, like a welder for 10 years, I'm going to look at them as they're different students. And we don't, we look at diversity of applications. So really it's about diversity for our students, because that really brings a lot of strength to our program. Yeah, you can complete the certificate as fast as you want to. I had one person who completed it in 18 months because they pretty much took 5 classes a term. I would not recommend that to anybody. It's really your own pace, but you take a couple classes to see how the workload fits with your life, and then decide a plan of action to how many courses you can take a term and how long you think it'll take to finish. And there was a question about ICES, so International Credit Evaluation. I'm not sure I can answer that. Our program end date is April 4th, and that's when I get the applications for review. And I think the International might have a couple more days that we give, but after that, that's the cutoff. And if the applications don't meet the minimum eligibility requirements and somebody shows up later, it's kind of disadvantageous to somebody who had submitted their application on time. So pretty much the cutoff is the cutoff.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We've actually used up all our time, and that was great. And I'm glad there's so many people participating and so much excellent information being given out here. Anyone who didn't get their questions answered, or you think you might have one later, please take down Bobby's email or the program advising email address, and feel free to shoot them. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, email me at any time. I'm more than happy to answer questions as best I can. It's not a problem at all.
And the same goes for us in program advising. If you had a question that wasn't answered, feel free to email us and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Excellent. I'll just let everyone know that there's more info sessions for different health sciences programs for the rest of the week. So if there's something else that you're interested in, feel free to check those out. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming. Thank you for the advisor, Shelley, and Bobby, the program head. And pardon me if I didn't get your credential correct there. And thank you so much. We hopefully we will see you in the near future.
Okay, thank you, Darren and Aaron, for facilitating, and thank you, Shelley, for the program advising perspective. If anybody, again, thank you all for participating.
And I should also just let everyone know that they will be sent a copy of the presentation and hopefully a link to the video if it works, and coming up later this week.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, everyone.
Sounds
really
good.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. It was great to be here. All the best in your applications, everyone that's interested in applying. It's an excellent program. So, okay. So have a good night. Thanks for coming. Bye.
Thank you.
All the best.